So we begin by making a short list of the different types of ligament. We've got long, short, capsular and annular. So the joints that we're going to look at are the metacarpophalangeal, the proximal interphalangeal and the distal interphalangeal. So the fetlock, the pastern and the coffin joint. We also need to consider some of the ligaments that are either go across more than one joint or don't involve those joints at all. And those are primarily the long ligaments. So what ligaments fall into the category of being long? We'll begin with the most proximal, which will be the radial check. Then we have the subcarpal check. Then the suspensory. And then there's the suspensory of the navicular bone. So the radial check is also known as the superior check. The subcarpal is also known as the inferior. The suspensory is also known as the interosseous muscle. I'll put those in brackets. Because the American books, for the most part, use the radial check, the subcarpal check, the suspensory ligament. British books may use superior check, inferior check, or interosseous muscle for the suspensory. So now let's put those ligaments on the drawing. So here we have a side view and a palmar view. So a medial or lateral side view and a palmar view of the forelimb of the horse's leg. And we'll begin with the radial, which originates on the caudal face of the radius and comes down and inserts into the superficial digital flexor tendon proximal to the carpal joint. So that's the radial check. Then we have the subcarpal check, which originates on the distal row of carpal bones on the palmar face and the proximal palmar edge of MC3, in the groove formed between MC2 and MC4, and runs down the back of the leg and inserts into the deep digital flexor tendon about midway down the leg. And this is a bigger ligament than the radial check. So it originates along here and runs down in this region and is quite a thick round strap. Then we have the suspensory ligament, which originates just distal to the subcarpal check and again is in the groove formed by MC2 and MC4 and inserts onto the proximal sesamoids. So it originates in this region. It's deep to the subcarpal check ligament, closer to the center of the leg, runs down as an individual one single strap and then divides just like a pair of suspenders and inserts onto proximal sesamoids on the proximal border. So that's the suspensory ligament. Subcarpal and the radial is originating up here and terminating in this region. And it's a smaller tissue than the subcarpal. Now the suspensory ligament sends off secondary branches that run along the medial face and the lateral face, and then combine with the main extensor tendon to insert onto the extensor process of P3. And then the last one is the suspensory ligament of the navicular bone, and it is similar to the larger suspensory ligament on the proximal region of the limb, but instead of having a single branch that divides, it has two individual branches that combine. So you have a medial or a lateral branch which runs down from the medial or lateral face of P2, passes over the pastern joint or proximal interphalangeal joint, and inserts onto the medial and lateral points of the navicular bone. So that's the longer part of the ligament, also known as the proximal navicular ligament. And then it has a shorter part which attaches the proximal border of the navicular to the palmar face of P2. But for now, we'll consider these are the longest ligaments of the limb that we're going to study.